So typically when we talk about the sales charts in video games, whether it's like the NPD or in the UK sales charts or in Japan when we get the Famitsu results, usually we talk about two systems. It's like the Switch and the PS5. The Xbox generally doesn't come up as a system that takes the top spot. At least it hasn't for a while. Like seriously, we're talking like back, I think early on in the Xbox One life, there was a month that it actually took the top spot. And I think there was another time during the Xbox One X run, but otherwise you got to go back to the 360 to find when it was consistently taking NPD results and all of that. Well, something interesting actually was put out, and it's something I wasn't expecting, and that is that the Xbox console, the Series systems, the X, the S, actually took the top spot in the UK for the month of January. I'm going to explain to you why that surprised me a bit here, and we'll go over what exactly this could mean for Microsoft and the PS5 and even the Switch. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure that like button helps out a ton, and if you're new here to the Small Wave Plus channel, make sure you subscribe down below. So first thing, let's go over to where this info is coming from, and we can see this is from Christopher Dring over gamesindustry.biz, saying, in the UK last month, Xbox Series S and X was the best-selling console. That's 3 different best-selling consoles in the UK over the last 3 months. November was the PS5, December was the Switch, and January was the Xbox. So things are getting mixed up quite a bit there in the UK for that top spot. Generally, for the MPD, it's like always the Switch. In November, it was a little different because it was like the Switch sold the most units, but the PS5 made the most revenue. I mean, the PS5 is like $200 more than the Switch, 500 versus 300. So that makes sense why that would all kind of happen that way. But the Xbox really wasn't talked about much in the MPDs, and it was pretty obvious that it was like third. It was at the bottom, basically. So to see it here at the top of the UK sales charts for systems in all of January is a bit surprising, mostly because the software that we've seen so far doesn't really reflect that. In fact, I'm reminded of this story here that we covered on Newswave a little over a week or two ago, and this is from Christopher Dring, once again, January 24th, talking about how the previous week there was a fairly large PS5 restock that appeared to actually make its way into consumers' hands, not just all bots and scalpers and stuff, because software climbed heavily. We had like Demon Souls, for example, jumping up heavily with a 291% sales increase. We had Miles Morales up 161%, and for the most part, if you look at the split for Hitman 3, most of it goes to the PlayStation side with the PS5. And even coming from Nintendo, Animal Crossing was still number 2, and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was number 3. So think about that for a second. The Xbox Series systems not only was able to outsell the PS5 in January despite a sizable restock, we can assume here based on the software jump, but was also able to outsell the Switch very quietly, by the way, because if you look at the chart, like, you just don't really see any Xbox games on here. Even Minecraft is Minecraft for the Switch. But obviously the big thing we all understand is that the PS5 and the Xbox Series systems are very supply constrained right now. Even the Switch is kind of feeling it. I was hearing that in the UK it was very difficult even to find a Switch. So I guess that could be after the holidays with all of the hype around the system. Yeah, that would make sense that they still need to get restocks into different stores. But here's the interesting thing. The Xbox is actually not that far behind the PlayStation. It's nothing like it was with the Xbox One, where, as I said before, the Xbox One tied its shoelaces together and fell over out of the gate. Check this out. This is from Ryan McCaffrey, and there was an interesting response here from Daniel Ahmed. Said, I wonder what Xbox Series X and S's numbers is so far, not as a console war thing, but because at this point it's literally a how many have Sony and Microsoft made things, since every console made from both companies is being sold. Daniel Ahmed responded here, said, take a bit over 1 billion off PS5 number and you won't be far off. So the PS5 we know shipped 4.5 million systems, which means they sold 4.5 million systems. I think most of us understand that with how they all just disappear immediately off of online stores and all of this. But the Xbox has a similar effect. It is hard to find an Xbox overall. I have seen that when they pop up online, generally they will last longer than the PS5. Like I remember seeing a Series X that was up, I want to say it was on Target. It was up for like 2 hours. So it's obviously not as sought after as the PS5, but this tells me that the Xbox systems are about 3.5 million units, and they're still out of stock most places. So really, Microsoft, despite the lack of software, I should say, in the sales charts, still moving their systems along pretty well, which means their plan is actually working when it comes to Game Pass being a driving force. See, with Microsoft, they want to be a services company that just happens to sell hardware to provide those services to you with Game Pass. Game Pass is their big focus right now. It ties everything together with the Xbox, the PC, and their cloud streaming. So that's what they want to sell. The fact, though, that these Xbox systems are going along for the ride pretty well right now, at least, and we'll see how this continues to pan out, because I figure that if there were an unlimited amount of PS5s and an unlimited amount of Xbox systems, the PS5 would, I think, outsell the Xbox handily. Although right now, I do think there are a lack of releases available right this second from Sony to really push it over the top. But by the time we get to the end of this year, we all assume a lot of those games that Sony has shown us with Gran Turismo, God of War, Horizon, Ratchet and Clank, Returnal, and I think at least 2 others that they have not talked about just yet, and those are all here during that next fiscal year, then it'll be pretty obvious where we're heading with the overall sales comparisons. But to me, looking at this, that's actually not bad for Microsoft as they work to try to take Game Pass and get it into more homes. So while I'm sure these supply constraints around the PS5 and the Switch certainly helped Microsoft attain one of these top-selling months in a region like the UK, you still got to give them credit for it, right? I mean, they still topped the charts. They were able to allocate enough stock to one region to take the top spot. So there you go. Hats off to Microsoft, give them credit for that one, and we'll see how things continue along as more and more stock hopefully starts to show up for the PS5 and the Switch, and yes, even the Xbox, as I do know there are a lot of people who are still looking for these systems. But let me know what you guys think about this one down below. Are you surprised to see the Xbox consoles actually take the top spot in a region like the UK, despite all of us just talking about the PS5 consistently throughout the month of January? Thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll see you next time.